Welcome to the Rise Above Show with Patricia Joe Grover, where we rise above our challenges and turn believers into achievers. I want to take just a quick moment and thank our sponsors, 133 Approved Funding, because they've been there while businesses have been struggling to stay in business. They've been able to give funding to keep them open, keep people employed, and for people who are in need of starting their own business, they're there for funding for that as well. Another product that they have is consumer financing, and so that is so that people can afford to get the products and services they need to move forward in a positive direction. So if you'd like to have more information, you can reach out to me. But today with me, I have Tristan Helm, and he is going to be a speaker on the Rise Above Summit in the physical dimension of life this time around. So let me tell you a little bit about Tristan. He's a native of Colorado and Oklahoma. He grew up amid the influence of diverse people with backgrounds of diversity. He has worked in the mental health field for almost 20 years, specializing in distinct skills training for those who are mentally handicapped, incarcerated, emotionally ill, and children under the custody of the state. He is the author of After Midnight, Finding Your Inner Beautiful, as well as a few other manuscripts he's helped to write. He is passionate about helping people see their true worth and overcome obstacles. He has 5 children and lives in Texas with his wife. He works as a mental health professional and helps others to focus on understanding their inner struggle. He has been training under the guiding eye of some people and the most prominent speakers in the world. He's a published author and has appeared on various speaking platforms within his first year of starting. He also works as a consultant for numerous networking groups and mentors small business owners. And he is the CEO of Helm Mastery and works to help people take lead in their life. And his ultimate goal in life is to help his life's work and passion is to help as many people as possible. Well, oh my goodness, Tristan, so happy to have you with us. And this time you're going to be speaking in the physical dimension of life. So
yes,
I'm so excited to hear more about this.
Thank you. Me too. Only because I love every dimension. We have mainly these 4 big aspects. We have your physical, your mental, your emotional, and your spiritual. But the physical, there's something very peculiar about it, and I'm very excited about it.
Awesome. So how would you define the physical dimension or realm of life? Because I know it's a little bit different for some people.
Okay, so the physical dimension is different than the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, because you can't see it as much. You can't feel it unless you're like paying very close attention. But the physical, obviously, outside of the obvious, which can be like your muscles and your joints and everything, is your organs, your heart, your lungs, everything inside. Anything like that is physically, like, I don't want to say attainable because we're not on the black market, but anything that is physical, anything that you can touch, right? So it's how I would describe it is basically what you put inside it and what you exert. It affects every physical part of your body, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So how does the physical realm affect any other areas in our lives?
Okay, so this is the part I'm excited about, because your body is like this working machine, okay? Like your brain is a computer, okay? It's just programs and software, it's hardware, it's wiring. But your physical body is just a machine. It only does what the computer program tells it to do, or the consciousness, right? So if I can make a decision, even though I'm programmed to not make good decisions, but my consciousness is now in charge, I can now force my physical to do something that I'm supposed to do, right? Now, here's what I mean is mentally and emotionally, those are aspects that are very, very intertwined, right? Your mental highly affects the emotional, and your emotional highly is affected with the mental. However, the physical is the most like astounding part of the dimensions, because it works in and of itself, and it can operate and be successful standalone, or it can be conjoined, and it can be like this this working conglomerate part that helps the mental and helps the emotional and helps the spiritual. And so the best way to describe it and the best way to talk about how the physical affects the other ones is you can override the emotional. You can override the mental. You can override, I want to say you can override the spiritual, but you can make yourself do something that it doesn't normally want to do. And so, again, it's just a machine, okay? That's all it is. It's just physical parts. And it's only going to do what your consciousness or your subconscious tells it to do. And it's merely, it's just an operation, right? Sorry, let me put it this right. It's purely operation, right? There are days I don't feel like getting up. There are days I don't feel like doing things. But my consciousness, it clicks from the subconscious to my conscious. And I'm like, you know what? It really doesn't matter how I feel. I got to get up. So guess what my physical does? My physical gets up and does it. And so your physical part of your body can override what the mental and the emotional is dealing with, and can sometimes affect how they operate. So like your physiology can affect your psychology. And I've got a really, really cool example if I have a few minutes.
Yes.
Okay, so my wife and I had gotten into a little bit of an argument. It was, my goodness, maybe 3-4 months into being married. And she had this real big fear from previous relationships of people just walking out on her, right? So anyways, we got home and I'm like livid, angry, and I'm doing the best I can to just contain myself. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to go for a jog. I'm going to step out. And I say that about my wife because I didn't want to just walk out and leave and go for a jog and not communicate what I was doing, because I didn't want her to overreact, right? So that was one part of it where I was so angry. I didn't want to talk to her, but I was like, no, she has this fear and I love her, even though I'm angry right now. And this is going to be a stupid argument later. So hey, I'll be back. So what do? I pop in my headphones, I get my jogging outfit, and I jog and I listen to the sappiest love music you can think of. And I just go on this 2-mile jog, and all I'm thinking about is all these wonderful memories that we have. And I'm thinking about my family, and I'm thinking about how much I love her. And I'm just getting myself in this groove of, you know what? I don't even know why I'm angry. And by the time I got home, I'm already exhausted. So the energy that had been built up from being angry was spent. My mental state had been overridden, so I'm not even angry anymore. I guess that'd be my emotional. All the things I was angry about, like I've been feeling it so much with like lovey-dovey crud that like I'm not even angry. So I get home, like, and we lived on like I think it was the third. We lived up a couple stories. And so I, put my best foot forward and made it up the stairs at the end of the jog. And I was like, hey, I need you to come outside real quick. And she, what? And she's angry. And I just hug her and I say, I'm sorry. I said, that was dumb. We shouldn't even be arguing. And I just hugged her. And all of a sudden, the whole argument, everything that had been building up, completely dissipated. And all because I took my physical that was pent up with energy and urges and wanting to say things, and I just redirected all that energy to go do something else that was, I'd say, pretty productive. And so by the time I got back, my physiology, my physical state overrode what I was angry about and overrode the anger. And so now I'm just happy, sappy, lovey-dovey, emotionally like, oh, come here, my baby, I love you. So it was really cool because I've heard about other people doing that. And I really just the the whole experience shows me and can show that we can do something with that energy. Just because you're angry doesn't mean you have to lash out to get rid of the anger, to get rid of the energy. You go do something productive. Like, I've woken up with like anxiety attack, and I was like, I got to do something. And my wife goes, go to the garage. I mean, this is like 3:00 in the morning, and I'm just like, my heart is beating, and I'm just, my blood's pumping, my breath is short. And she was like, go to the garage and work out for a little bit. I'm like, okay. So I go to the garage and I do a couple pull-ups. I hit my punching bag, and all of a sudden, like, my energy came down. My heart rate had sped up from working out, but it was coming down. And so it's so cool feeling like you can override that emotional part with the physical part, with that physical dimension. Once you understand, I do have control over what I do. I don't always have control over how I feel. I definitely don't have control over my thought, but I do have control over my physical. I can choose consciously, even though I'm not in the mood, even though my thinking is not rational. I can think, you know what? Let me put rational aside. Let me put emotional aside. Let me just go do this. Give me a little bit to sit still in the quiet and not say anything, not do anything. And so my physical, I have a lot more control over. And a lot of people, myself included, are under this illusion that the physical has to follow the mental or have to follow the physical. And the physical can like override those. And that's how the physical can affect all the other dimensions.
Oh, that's a perfect description. I mean, really thinking about that, Tristan, it really made my mind start thinking about the different things. Because when you're stressed, you're stressed, but that your body isn't stressed. It's your mind that's stressed. And when you do things with your body, that can help your mind relax and take that breath it needs. Exactly. Right. Oh, that's such a great analogy. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it was a lived-in experience.
That makes a lot of sense. So does anything we do affect the physical realm or help to improve it?
Okay, so this is the other exciting part. The physiology, it affects the psychology, but the psychology affects the physical. So the best example I can think of is during like an anxiety attack or during just a lot of pent up energy, right? And I don't know what to do with it. Your body has no idea what's happening. It's reacting, but it doesn't know what exactly it's reacting to. The mind just will feed it stuff, right? So here's what I mean is you can put yourself into a completely different state of mind, and then your physical will be like, oh, okay, my bad. And it'll stop. And the best way I can say it is, I guess I'm going to use that same example is when I'm having a panic attack and I overrode that with the psychology, is my body got confused and thought, oh, I'm working out. That's why the heartbeat's going up. That's why the pacing of the air or not the pacing of the air, but that's why I'm getting shortness of breath because I'm working out. And then all that energy just started to come down because my mental said, okay, well, actually it was my wife's mental. It wasn't my mental. My mental was not good. It was my wife's mental suggestion of, hey, just go work out. So not only does my physiology affect my psychology, which again is going to be the subconscious, my not autoimmune, not autocorrect, the autopilot, that's what word, the autopilot and the pilot, what I'm aware of and what I'm not aware of. Once you realize, okay, it's of its own thing, and I don't want to feel this way. I don't like my heart beating fast. I don't like being shortness of breath. So mentally, I'm going to put myself in a calm state, and then my body is going to follow it. So there's been many times I can even tell you that I've been like just really frantic, and I just sit still and I put my mental state in a state of meditation. And I began focusing on something that was, I don't want to say mundane, but it was just very bland. It was very calm. It was very orderly. And all the chaos that was happening in my body from the previous thoughts then began to match the new thoughts. So the physical override the psychological, but the psychological can also override the physical. And they work. That's why I'm saying, like, it works in and of itself, but it works hand in hand with the other ones. And once you learn how to respond to what your body's doing or how your body feels, you can completely switch things in your mind and switch certain habits that you may have.
All of a sudden, again, my mind's thinking, Tristan, about all these children when they say they're ADHD, and how working with them with these different things that you're saying could really be a big benefit.
Yeah, and I heard this story from I think his name is Ken Robinson, and he talked about this little girl named Julia, and she was constantly bouncing off walls, full of energy. And she gets taken to a psychologist by her mom. And the psychologist, thank God for this man, he was like, just get her in dance school. She's fine. And so she gets into dance school, and she has now her own college named after her. She's the one who choreographed Cats. She choreographed Phantom of the Opera. She makes millions of dollars a year. But it was because somebody didn't see, oh, she's got energy. She has ADHD. Let's give her medication.
Right.
Okay, she's got energy. Let's feed that into something productive. Let her dance. And next thing you know, her brain can start like meeting up with that energy because now she's focused on that. And so it's just, they work hand in hand, but they work separate. And once you learn how they work together, it's like this beautiful, beautiful thing.
Beautiful thing. Oh my goodness. So what do you think, Tristan, that we can do, or what can we do to improve the physical aspects of our lives?
Okay, so obviously, check out your health, right? Eating unhealthy foods is more than just fat storage, right? What we eat actually affects the way we think. Like, it affects our whole immune system. And not just what we think, like what we do daily, our body just responds to that, right? So the best way I can say is learning to pay attention to what your body's doing and to what it's saying, and then make a choice whether it's going to stay on that path or it's going to veer back and get on the right path. My wife got me on this carnivore, like where we eat a lot of meat, and I like sweets. I'm a guy who likes Twinkies and likes chocolate chip cookies and stuff. And I was like, man, I've been a couple weeks and I was really craving some sweets. And she goes, your body needs electrolytes. Go put some salt, some pink salt underneath your tongue. I was like, that's weird. I want sweet, not salt, but okay, whatever. I trust her. She's like really into the whole health eating more than I am. So I took her advice. I went and got pink salt, not table salt, pink salt. I put it underneath my tongue. Craving completely curbed.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And so
that makes me think of something too. It's like thinking of like you said, our bodies are a machine. So thinking of it as it's a car, right? And some cars need unlimited gas, and some need premium, and some need, and it is. It's like putting the right fuel into for the right
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, and it's not just eating healthy, but there are certain food groups that like are stored up with brain energy and like love to feed into the body. Like protein obviously works with muscles, but like sodium helps with other parts of the body, right? Greens help with brain activity. And just all these things. If you just, all it takes is just a little bit of Google, just a little bit of Google search, and you can find what foods affect what your body does. Mm-hmm. And it's just extraordinary because, again, once we come to this understanding, the power play is now in our court. It's like, all right, now that I know this, I can take charge of my life. Now, even though I don't feel like getting up in the morning to do a jog, and even though, or even a walk, I know that I can override that. And once I get out there, I'll be okay. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't tell you like how many times my wife has told me to do grounding, which in psychology, grounding is like you count the tiles on the ceiling. But in the physical world, grounding is where you go lay on the ground and you literally, your body touches the earth and it finds this center and this calmness. I don't know what it is, but I know there's some science, a lot of science behind it. But like the magnetic pulses in your body, it's an amazing thing what happens whenever you learn to like override what your body's doing.
That is so true. That is so true. Somebody else we were just talking about this recently. So very, very true. So Tristan, what is physical ultimately connected to, separate from the three other things that we talked about?
Okay. This is the part where I was saying it works independent, but it is connected. I've seen some people that were like physically in great shape, but mentally and emotionally, they were completely distraught, and spiritually they were deprived, but their physicals, in and of itself is great. But I've also seen people that were mentally, emotionally, and spiritually strong, but the physical was lacking, right? This is why I was saying it works in and of itself. So you can learn how to put the other stuff aside and just focus on, okay, what's the physical part, But then once you get into a routine, your body will just start automatically doing it without even thinking. Like I wake up around the same time every day, whether my alarm's set or not, just because I've done it for so long, and my body's just like, oh, are we doing this? Nope. Okay. And getting into the groove of me working out is hard, but once I get started and once I've, gone a couple weeks, then my body's like, whoa, dude, it's been a couple days. You need to get into the gym because it gets used to what's happening. So the physical, you can learn how to just like you would a regular machine, and you're using the great example of the car is you fine tune it. You're like, okay, I want this engine to run this way. So I'm going to tune it around this so everything operates off that. And then it just gets into a motion where it works by itself and you just stick with it. That kind of just acts in and of itself. I don't know if that's the best way I can think to explain it.
But that is so interesting. And what a good twist on this topic, because again, I love that with the Rise Above Summit, with having the 8 dimensions of life, that we have, speakers that share so many different things. So I'm so happy that we have you joining us for this upcoming Rise Above Summit in October, that you're going to be speaking in the physical dimension. So Tristan, anybody, just so you can pass this on, and so I'm sharing with our viewers and listeners today, you're going to be on October 5th, and your episode will be airing, your segment on the summit will be airing at about 11:30 in the morning on, and that's Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, so, and I'm very excited to be a part of that.
Wonderful. Okay, so Tristan, do you have any gifts for our viewers and listeners today?
I do, actually. So I've been working on my website, updating it. I'm doing this webinar at the end of the month. It's called Getting Fit. And it's actually where I talk about the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual, and how to pay attention to them and how to work on them one by one. And if you will just go to my website, www.helmaster.com, there is an area. Let me make sure that, because I took off one of them to make it as simple as possible. There we go. go to the request help page. And if you will just put in there that I referred you from, or that you heard about this from this the show, then you will get a link to the webinar at the end of the month.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Tristan. And for anybody who'd like to find out more about me, you can go to patriciajogrover.com. And I'm actually having work done to my website and getting updated too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about growth. And so with that, with the patriciajogrover.com, and for anybody who'd like to have gifts come into their inbox, if you text the word goal, GOAL, to 26786 if you're right here in the continental US. But if you're outside, if you text goal to 1-866-926-4020, you'll get the same thing. So thank you for being with me, and Tristan, I'm looking forward to having you on the summit with us.
Thank you, Patty.
I have a little video on the way out.